Hey, Violet, how are ya?
Hi, Dad. I'm doing amazing. How you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for joining me. I wanted to introduce you. We are going to be posting this video on billcarmody.com so that our friends can see and get to know you and talk a little bit about our experience planning this incredible world tour we're going on. So, how do you want to begin?
Well, I'm really excited about this. I think planning is a good place to start. Maybe talk about what we have done to get to this point, what we haven't done, and what we're not sure about.
Yeah, those are really good points. Do you want to start with how this all came to be for you?
Well, I remember you just saying out of the blue, I don't remember where it came from, that this was just something we could do, like it was a possibility. And that made me really excited because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity that I'm just getting to do. I didn't have to fight for it, it's just there. So that was incredibly exciting to me. And I just remember, I think I was in sophomore year, so this was like 2 years ago, and I jumped on it, and then nothing happened for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put a little more context in there. I had made a recommendation to both you and Will, your brother, about the idea of doing a gap year. And so I thought that, there's lots of different things that can be done. And this was one of the options was to travel around the world together. And you were like, yes, that one. Let's do that one.
Yep.
So I'm down in the basement. This is where we first started it. I put together a map, and the map basically was a physical map of the world. And we said, okay, what are some of the places that you want to travel to? Remember your top choices?
Not all of them, but I know the map is still right there if you want to
It
take a
is.
look
I
at it.
I can walk over to that. But the number one for you was Japan, was it not?
Yep.
Why did you want to go to Japan?
A lot of the culture and media I consume has come from or circulated around Japan. I grew up on Nintendo, so that was something I was always excited about. And I've just heard a lot about it that I'm interested in. So that's something I'm very hyped up to see. What else
Excellent.
did we say there on the map?
So we have the very beginnings of the trek. So what we have on that map is we said, okay, well, we know we definitely want to go to Japan. And initially, if you remember, one of the things you wanted to look at was Nintendo World. So this is going all the way back. It's like, man, I
It's a
want to see.
long time ago.
Yeah, right. I mean, you still want to go to Nintendo World? Is that something you still
Yeah, yeah,
interested?
that would still be fun. I'm still down
Like
for that.
so much of your childhood was based on playing Legend of Zelda with me, and
Yep.
then kicking my butt, and then surpassing me in ways I will never catch up on. So it's fantastic. Yeah, it's fun.
Mhm.
Well, so we have so what we then I did was we looked at some of the places in Europe. And so what we looked at was, hey, there's this whole bunch of places we can go in Europe. And we started to look at like different places like, hey, Dublin, Ireland, we'll start there, and then we'll go to London, Edinburgh, Scotland, and we'll sort of work our way through both Eastern and Western Europe. And we balance some of the places that you want to go, some of the places I want to go, and some of the places we know we have coaches in the world. So we'll have
Mhm.
a lots of friends that we can meet up with as we're doing our travels. Are you excited to do that?
Yeah, there's a lot of people I don't know, and especially most of the people watching this video now who I've never met, but you have told me have heard a lot about me. So that's going to be interesting to meet people from all over the world that are just excited to see you and both of us. I
It's
think the most interesting part about this process is seeing how it's changed because initially we were going to start with Iceland and then just try to go everywhere, just be in every place at every time. But we eventually decided we want to shorten that down to be in more important places to us that
yeah.
we wanted to experience, but be there longer. And I think that was a really good choice to make. And it definitely changes the way we're seeing things.
Well, we're still seeing about 54 locations if it comes out in 52 weeks. So
Mhm.
we're about one place in the world per week, roughly. With a couple places we'll kind of squeeze in there, especially when you're doing Europe, we'll hit a couple of cities all at the same time. But
Mhm.
you're exactly right. I mean, part of what we did was we wanted to see everything initially, and I was like, wow, if we try to squeeze it all in, it's going to be such a blur. We're not going to remember anything. And so we had to chunk it into like first we want to see what do we want to see in Europe, then what are the parts of Africa that we want to check out, then different parts of Asia, and then we would go down to Australia, New Zealand, and in Oceanic, and then continue on to South America, and then back to North America, and I think a little Central America we squeezed in there too, just because. So it's like
Yeah,
a very very long journey.
it's hard to wrap my head around an entire year of this, but also That's going to be an amazing year. It's going to go by so quickly. I'm really excited.
Yeah. So tell me, what are you most excited for? What are you looking forward to?
Well, one of the biggest things is I love dancing. That is my favorite thing to do, period. I love dancing. So I am really excited to see how that culture is different everywhere because I'm going to want to be dancing in every city we go to, but seeing how the music changes, how the atmosphere changes, and what it's like to be in different places, and especially just the general vibe of music because that's going to vary significantly from place to place.
I can't predict where the best places are to go, but I will say we're hitting it with a bang in the very beginning. I remember when I was in college, some of the coolest dance clubs that I ended up going to were in Dublin. So we were going to start there. So that's literally the first location we're going to go to, and there's great nightclub dancing options that'll be available to us in Dublin. I will say I also spent many a night in London, and there's lots of really cool nightclubs in London. I actually have not ever danced in Scotland, but I'm sure in Edinburgh there'll be lots of options. We just have to explore them. But when we get down to Spain, that's when it gets insane.
Yeah,
So this is the difference. Like, most of these other countries, like we can go out at a normal time and be done and we're fine. Spain, they have their dinners around 10 or 11 p.m. at night, dinner, so that they can begin their dancing at midnight or later. And they usually go till 6 a.m. and then they go to work right after that.
I could never. I just could never. I would be out there for those times and then just crash the next day, become nocturnal over in Spain.
So when we get to Barcelona, we get to Madrid, there's a lot of different places there. We'll check out the night scene, and I'm sure you're going to have an amazing time. Same thing with Amsterdam. It's a really, the nightlife in Amsterdam is like some of the most unique places in the world. Very, very fun. And of course, Paris too. There's going to be so many different places that we're going to be able to check out and ones we're not even expecting, and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to be able to see that and have that experience as well, which will be a lot of fun. Yeah.
There's a lot of countries, well, not countries, cities that we're going to that I just had never heard of before
Yeah.
because I live in a bubble. I've pretty much always lived in a bubble.
Yeah.
But seeing those cultures and what they look like is going to be a really eye-opening experience for these places that I didn't know were there.
Yeah. What's present to me as you said that is like I've never been to Cambodia, I've never been to Vietnam. And even Thailand. There's a lot of places out in that part of Asia that I've never experienced, and I'm really curious how it relates to things like other places I have been, like Singapore and Hong Kong. And I'm sure it's completely and vastly different. And we're going to get to do that, and we're going to get to go to the Philippines and even spend the holidays in the Philippines. How do you feel about not being home for Christmas?
I feel like we do it all the time because this year we actually were, and that was a very different experience. We're almost never around. What's
Yeah.
going to be different is the climate because wherever we are, it's usually still cold. But
Yeah.
in the Philippines, that's going to be a very different experience.
It's going to be nice and warm. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm doing my best to give us more or less an eternal summer. So if you think about it, we're going to be in Europe in July, August, and September, and then we're going to go down into the southern part of Africa in October. And then in November, we're going to be in Thailand, and we're going to be in Cambodia and Vietnam. And then we're going to go further south, and we're going to get into the entire month of January. We're going to be in Australia and then New Zealand in February as well. And only then will we come up to Japan, and then we're just hitting their spring. So we will have bypassed all of the winter parts, and we'll be just defrosting in Japan and sort of making our way up north as we go to Korea and into China. Fun,
That
huh?
tan is never fading. It's going to be there the whole time.
It's true. We're gonna have to be slathering sunscreen on the whole time.
Yeah.
Me anyway, for sure. That's good. One of the things that I also want to say, we don't have to really dwell on this today, but I'm going to plant the seed for the next time we talk. I'm going to try to do this once every weekend, and we'll talk about different topics. This was just kicking us off, blue sky thinking, how this came together. I'm sure we'll get some questions from our friends and our coaches. We can start answering some of those questions. Maybe even have a few guest coaches come on and talk
Yeah.
to us about the experience, which would be super fun. But one thing that I have been on my mind is I want to carry as little as possible with us around the world. So I'm going to challenge us both to take a school-sized backpack as the only bag we bring.
Mhm.
And in that, what it was totally truly essential, and then everything else we'll pick up and let go of while we're on the road. How does that sound?
I just think that getting to experience what the clothing and fashion is like in different places, and then being able to pick that up and then drop it and go to the next place, a
Yeah.
lot of culture shock, but also getting to see the differences, especially in proximity to each other and how they influence other cultures and what that clothing might be. I
Yeah.
just can't wait to find out.
And I think there are thrift stores everywhere that we can donate clothes to. So we don't, if it's something you really love, we can ship it back home, but we can also just wear it for the days that we're there and then let it go, like you said. And it's like, great, it was a wonderful thing. Great, great pictures, great videos, and we're on to the next country. It'd be fun.
Yeah, this is going to be, I don't even have the words for it.
So what
I
are
don't
your,
think I could ever.
yeah, no, I agree. So what's your bare minimum? We know you need your glasses, we need your phone and your phone charger. Anything else?
I think I need some spare clothes for between when we're going from place to place.
Yep.
So that might be it. And
Yeah.
anyone else who is watching this, if you have recommendations for things we're not thinking about, please do tell us because I don't want to be like halfway around the world and then realize I need something. Oh, I guess medication. I'll bring that
Yes,
too.
correct.
And then I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah, I was thinking about my contact lenses. Same thing. It's like, how many do I bring for the run across the world? Yep, you got glasses, so that works. And that's exactly it. It's like, we'll bring some toiletries, we'll bring some basic clothing that'll be our true essentials, but like less is more. The fewer things we have, the less we have to schlep around the world. And then we just have to pick up things along the way as we need them and then get rid of them and discard them when we no longer need them and make sure that they find a good home. So it'll be really fun to be able to have that be part of our process. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Cool.
mean, giving back to communities as we take, I hope we can be helpful to where
Yeah.
we go.
Well, it's funny you say that because remember, next weekend we're going on a midnight run. Do you want to tell people what a midnight run is?
So, with Midnight Runs, we will gather as a congregation, and with the Unitarian Universalist Church, we do stuff with them. And we will gather supplies, toiletries, food, clothing, things that people would need. And we're going to get into vans and bring them into New York City and distribute those to the people who are having homeless experiences.
Yes. Beautiful. Well said. And we've been doing this now for 3 times a year, every year since as long as you can remember. I believe this
Yeah.
was 30 runs for me, so it's been an incredible experience for sure. It's great.
I think I was 12 on my first one.
Yeah.
I I'm pretty sure.
Well,
This
and
has
even
been something we're doing for a
younger,
while.
you help to sort things even before you went on the actual runs. You would be like even younger than that. You would help us with putting the toiletries together, the clothes together. So this has been a part of your life for as long as you probably can remember. It's
Yeah,
pretty,
definitely.
yeah, it's great. Well, listen, any final words you want to say to our audience members for today, and then we'll see them back next week.
If there's anything you want us to talk about, you're curious about, just tell us. We'll get to that next week.
Awesome. Thank you, Violet. I appreciate you jumping on, and we will see everyone next week.
Thank
Take
you so
care.
much. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.